It's real talk, where real talk happens about real things. We are excited today because we are, I don't know if you've noticed, a little closer to you today. We feel like we were too far separated from you. We want to be closer. We want that intimacy with you, if you will. If it was up to me, we would be all the way up here. You know, I want to crawl inside your brain and lay eggs. And I want those eggs to hatch and grow out of your brain. Because I'm crazy. You know, Mikey Garcia unified some belts over the weekend against Robert Easter. Mikey Garcia is a nondescript, quiet, I don't know, like, there were some questions about, before the fight, why isn't Mikey Garcia a bigger star? And the idea goes, Mikey Garcia's name is Mikey Garcia, and so therefore should have the Mexican fan base, which is huge in boxing. Exhibit A is Canelo Alvarez. Why isn't Mikey Garcia a huge star in boxing right now already? I think it's because Mikey Garcia, well, I think it's two reasons. I think one of the reasons is he had that long layoff when he separated from Top Rank to move over to PBC. And also, like, some people just have a certain amount of pizzazz, if you will. A certain, I don't know, a je ne sais quoi, that draws the people to them, right?
Yeah.
Canelo Alvarez has that, and I can't explain why he does.
Right.
It's something that you can't explain. Mikey Garcia does not have that, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, that's just how people are.
Yeah. So can you think of another, I'm trying to think, I guess, of a comparison. Is there another boxer that is similar to Garcia, but does have the fan base?
What do you mean similar?
Like what we're saying, like similar being good at boxing but has the like star power to go with it, like all the fans. Because what I wondered, Garcia doesn't reside in Mexico, right?
Yeah, that's
like
another
Canelo
thing. Right.
resides in Mexico,
and so did like Barrera and Morales. They were from Mexico.
Yeah.
And Garcia lives in Los Angeles.
Garcia being from California.
Oxnard, yeah.
Yeah. So I wondered if that maybe had something.
And maybe it does. But I guess what I'm getting at is, like, who cares, right? Mikey Garcia is just an exceptional, precisely mechanic, like, robot of a fighter who is everything you should show, like, a young fighter. If you're like, hey, you should try to fight like this, because this is the proper way to fight. And I love watching him fight, and his fan base is growing. I think I think that there's just many factors into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And as he moves up the pound-per-pound list, which he is already on at most places and should be, and as he moves up that thing, who knows what the ceiling is for Mikey Garcia. If you remember when we were first, I guess, getting back into boxing as boxing fans, and your first foray into the sweet science, Floyd Mayweather wasn't a big star, right? He was a fighter who people thought were like, this guy's really, really good. Why isn't he a big star?
Yeah.
And then he exploded.
Yeah. I have some fear in this regard because I do not want to promote Floyd Mayweather type behavior, like for people to succeed to like the highest levels in boxing.
Yeah, and I don't think they have to.
Yeah.
I was just using Floyd as an example of like a similar type of fighter.
That's why I'd like to think of a fighter that has like the fan base, but is quiet and really skilled, but maybe not flashy in the ring.
Yeah, I'm sure there are in boxing history. I mean, we didn't really talk about this before, so
right.
I never really thought about that. Like Andre Ward is a similar fighter in that respect.
But yeah, and he doesn't people like talk
about.
But
the same thing, like Andre Ward had to lay a long layoff, and then he just retired again. So yeah. I do believe that if Andre Ward, it looks like he's coming back, which isn't part of this show. But I mean, if Andre Ward comes back and beats Adonis Stevenson, and then moves up to cruiserweight or heavyweight, and you know what I mean? Like, he's going to be a big star. I think the same thing is going to happen for Mikey Garcia, because Mikey Garcia is such a great fighter, and I think in the end, consistent excellence is what will take you to the next level.
Okay.
And you can argue that Floyd Mayweather used the WWE tactics, which he did, but I'm not sure he even needed to do that. I think that it was just that he.
So if you're just saying that as a fighter, maybe even just be patient and just say, you know what, I'm going to keep performing at the level I can perform at, and just let everything else just fall into place.
And if you look at what Earl Spence is doing right now, right? Mm-hmm. He's just a kind of laid back type of fella. And you heard the pop in the arena last night when they showed. He had the biggest applause. People love Earl Spence, and he's on the way to doing a great thing for his life and in his sport the right way, I think.
Yeah, yeah. You could also take into account that it's really hard to control something like star power and fan base. And so to let it go and not try to control that.
Yeah.
Because we've seen fighters who, you know, like using WWE tactics, right?
Yeah.
And try to control it that way. I've also seen fighters who everybody loved, and then all of a sudden, like, everybody just cooled on, and then everybody came back.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just not something you can control.
We're a fickle group. I saw some people last night. One of the undercard fighters was fighting and talking like, why does PBC think he's going to be a star? And you know what I thought of? I thought of what they used to say about Jermell and Jamal Charlo. And I thought of, we used to say the same thing about, I don't know, there's been plenty of fighters that have come up where we're like, he's going to be good. And then it turns out everybody loves him. So, who knows? We're fickle. We're like, I feel like boxing is basically a bag of cats. Boxing, the community is a bag of cats. And like, we're
it's also
and
like
crazy.
Boxing is unique in that, like, team sports can have, you know, like I'm a fan of the Green Bay Packers. Players come and go, but like I'm always a fan of that team, and so it kind of like roots me there. But boxing is really different in that regard. You don't have I mean, who's fans of like promoters? Like, you don't want to be fans of like, you know. So like, I guess you could be like, oh, I'm just a fan of the PBC and fighters come and go, but I don't think that's going to really like.
It's not the same. Boxing is more about the individual.
Yeah.
We both like the San Antonio Spurs, and so we obviously loved Kawhi Leonard, and now we love DeMar DeRozan.